Welcome to A Deep Dive. I'm Mark Buzz, and with me today is Anna Buggs, our, resident expert on all things, well, ecologically intriguing.
That's a good one.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into a world that's a little less cuddly and a lot more, how should I put it, urban.
Okay.
The rats of California. Now, you might be thinking rats? Really?
Right.
But trust me, folks, there's more to these critters than meets the eye.
Definitely more than meets the eye.
So let's get down to it.
Yeah.
What kind of rats are we dealing with here in California?
Well, here in the Golden State, we have two main characters, I guess we could say. The roof rat and the Norway rat.
Okay.
They might both be rats, but, knowing the difference between the two is really important to actually control them.
Interesting. Okay, so let's break it down.
Yeah.
What sets these two apart?
So think of the roof rat as the acrobat of the rodent world.
Okay.
They're sleek, they're agile, they can climb pretty much anything. Their long tails and little pointed noses help them navigate rooftops, attics, and even trees.
So they're the ones I might find scaling my walls in the dead of night.
Yeah, potentially.
That's unsettling.
It can be a little unsettling, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, on the other hand, we have the Norway rat, sometimes called the brown rat, and these guys are stockier. They have these blunt noses and shorter tails.
Okay.
And they're less about the acrobatics and more about burrowing. So think basements, crawl spaces, and sewers.
Got it. So different rats, different domains.
Right.
But why does this matter? Is it just about knowing where I'm likely to find them?
It goes beyond location because their habits are directly linked to the diseases they're most likely to carry. So, for instance, roof rats are, they're well known for spreading typhus,
And typhus is
a bacterial infection that can cause high fever and headaches.
not fun.
Not something you want to mess with. Now, the Norway rats are often linked to leptospirosis.
Leptospirosis.
Yeah, and that one can actually damage your kidneys and liver.
So knowing the rat can actually help us understand the potential health risks. That's good to know. Now, before we get too, deep into the ick factor,
Right.
I've heard there's another player in this rodent game.
Right.
The wood rat.
Yeah, the wood rat.
What's the story there?
Well, they're a little bit of a misnomer. Not actually a true rat, but still a significant pest here in California.
Hold on. A rat that's not a rat.
A rat that's not a rat.
That's confusing.
I know, it's kind of like a panda bear isn't technically a bear, but still a bear, right?
Okay.
Wood rats, they're in their own family, but they share some similarities with their distant cousins, the rats. What makes them so pesty is while they're incredible at building nests.
Nests.
Yeah.
Like birds.
Not quite like birds. Imagine huge structures made out of sticks, debris, anything they can get their paws on.
So they're hoarders.
In a way. And their gnawing can be a real problem.
Yeah.
Big problem.
Speaking of gnawing, I think it's time we address the elephant, or rather the rat, in the room. Most people find rats, well, disgusting. But beyond the you factor, what are the real dangers they pose?
Right.
Yeah.
So we already talked about typhus and leptospirosis, but rats can also transmit a whole, a whole bunch of other diseases, like rat bite fever, salmonellosis, and even hantavirus. Hantavirus.
It's serious.
It is. And what's concerning about hantavirus is that you can actually get it just by inhaling dust that's been contaminated with their droppings.
Oh, wow.
It's not just about being bitten. It's about their presence in your environment.
Okay. I'm officially creeped out.
Yeah.
So it's not just about being bitten. It's about their droppings, their urine, their saliva.
Yeah.
All of it can be dangerous.
Exactly. They can contaminate surfaces, your food, your water.
Oh, great.
And then there's the property damage.
Right.
Their teeth never stop growing, so they're constantly gnawing to wear them down.
So anything goes.
Pretty much. Wood, plastic, electrical wires.
Electrical wires.
That's a major fire hazard.
That's a major problem.
Yeah. And to make matters worse, they reproduce like rats.
That's the scary part. A small problem can quickly escalate into a full-blown infestation.
Yeah, before you even know it.
Okay, so now I'm paranoid.
Uh-huh.
What are some signs that I might have these unwelcome roommates lurking around?
So that's a great question, and you're right. Early detection is key. Now, the tricky part is that rats are primarily active at night.
Right.
So they can be hard to spot, but there are telltale signs to look out for.
Like what?
Well, droppings are a big one.
Droppings.
Yeah. You might find little dark pellet-shaped droppings, maybe
Okay.
near food sources in your attic, in your basement, along the walls.
Okay.
Also, check for gnaw marks. Listen closely. You might hear scratching, scurrying, or squeaking sounds. especially at night.
In the walls.
Yeah, in your walls, in your attic.
Oh,
And keep an eye out for nests. They build nests in kind of secluded areas using anything they can find, like shredded paper, fabric, insulation.
okay.
And lastly, you can check for greasy rub marks or footprints along the walls and baseboards.
Rats leave behind footprints.
They do. They leave behind these little greasy tracks as they scurry along their routes.
That's wild. Okay, so droppings, gnaw marks, noises, nests, and greasy tracks.
That's it.
Got it. What's the best way to keep these critters at bay in the first place?
Prevention, prevention, prevention.
Prevention is key, I get it.
Make your home less attractive to rats.
Okay.
That's the first thing. And the first step in that is eliminating food sources.
Okay, that seems logical.
Yeah.
But how do we actually do that?
Think like a rat.
Think like a rat.
They want easy access to food and water.
Okay.
So store your pet food in airtight containers, clean up spills immediately, secure your garbage cans. Don't make it a buffet for them.
Make it easy.
No. Next, seal up any entry points.
Entry points.
They can squeeze through incredibly small openings.
Really?
So inspect your foundation, your walls, your roof,
Right.
cracks, gaps, anything.
Oh, gosh.
Seal them up with caulk, steel wool, wire mesh, whatever it takes.
Wow.
And don't forget about your yard. Keep it clean, clutter-free. Remove wood piles, debris.
So just make your property less inviting.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about prevention. But what if you already have a rat problem?
Right.
What then?
If you've already got an infestation or you're just not comfortable tackling it yourself, then, well, it's best to call in the professionals.
Right. Like our friends at Simple Pest Management.
Exactly.
They're the experts when it comes to dealing with these situations. And we'll definitely delve into their expertise in just a bit. But first, if you're finding this, deep dive into the world of rats,
Yeah.
insightful,
Yeah.
don't forget to like and follow us for more fascinating content. We'll be back right after this short break.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We're, still in the world of California rats. And before we get to the cavalry, so to speak, I think it's good to talk about, what you can actually do yourself.
Right. Because let's be real, not every rat sighting requires calling in the big guns.
Right.
What are some DIY approaches that our listeners can, consider?
So when it comes to, tackling a smaller rat issue yourself, the two main DIY methods are traps and baits.
Okay.
Now, traps can be effective for catching individual rats, but placement and monitoring are key.
So we're talking about those classic snap traps.
Yeah.
I've always wondered, are those considered humane?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
So snap traps are generally considered humane because they, it's a swift kill. But for those who prefer a no-kill approach, there are live traps.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But then you have to figure out where to release them, right?
Right.
You can't just drop them off at the neighbors.
Yeah. Exactly. You need to find a suitable location that's, far enough away that they're not just going to, scurry right back. But let's move on to baits.
Okay. So what's the deal with baits? I know they're poisonous, but how do they actually work?
So rodenticides or rat poisons are designed to be, ingested, and they eventually lead to death. And they come in a bunch of different forms, like blocks, pellets, paste, but they do require, caution, especially if you have kids or pets.
Yeah.
Safety first.
Safety first. It seems like placing, those baits strategically is pretty crucial, right?
Absolutely. You need to place them in areas that are inaccessible to, kids, pets, non-target animals. And it's also important to remember that rodenticides can have secondary poisoning effects.
What does that mean?
So animals that, consume poisoned rats can also be affected.
Oh, wow.
So choosing products that are as safe as possible is, that's essential.
That's a good point. It seems like DIY rodent control comes with a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
Are there any natural or less toxic approaches out there?
There are. So some people have success with, natural repellents like peppermint oil or ultrasonic devices.
Okay.
These devices emit high-frequency sounds that are supposed to deter rats.
Interesting.
But, the effectiveness of these natural methods, it can vary, and they might not be suitable for every situation.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all solution.
Right.
It seems like the best approach depends on the severity of the infestation, the type of rat we're dealing with, and your comfort level with different methods. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's important to remember that rodent control is It's an ongoing process.
It is.
What do you mean by that?
Even if you even if you successfully eliminate an infestation, you can't just, sit back and relax.
Right.
You need to take preventative measures to keep those rodents from coming back.
So it's about, like, creating an environment where rats just don't want to be.
Exactly. It's an integrated approach.
Got it.
You're not just fighting a battle, you're creating a fortress.
That's a good way to put it.
Oh.
Okay, so we've covered the different types of rats, the risks they pose, the signs of infestation, and various control methods. Let's circle back to Simple Pest Management. What can you tell our listeners about their services and why they might be a good option for those dealing with with rodent issues?
So Simple Pest Management is it's a company that specializes in, well, pest management,
Right.
including rodent control. And they serve both residential and commercial properties,
Okay.
and in different locations across California.
And what makes them stand out from other pest control companies?
I would say they have a really deep understanding of the specific rodent challenges that we face here in California, and their approach is it's really comprehensive. They start with thorough inspections to identify the extent of the problem and the species involved.
So they don't just come in and spray everything in sight.
Yeah.
They take the time to understand the situation.
Exactly. And then they tailor their treatments to the specific needs of each property using a combination of, different methods.
Okay.
Bait stations, traps, physical barriers.
Got it. And what about safety? I know a lot of people are concerned about, the use of chemicals, especially around, children and pets.
Right. So that's a top priority for them. They use integrated pest management strategies, which prioritize, using the least toxic methods possible.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
So they're thorough, they're tailored, and they're safe. Anything else that sets them apart?
They're also, they're really focused on prevention.
Yeah.
So they'll work with homeowners and businesses to develop, long-term prevention plans to
Yeah.
keep those rodents from coming back.
So they're not just a one-time fix. They're like a partner in, in keeping your home or business rodent-free.
Yeah, in the long run.
In the long run. Okay.
And that's, a crucial aspect of effective pest management. It's
Right.
not just about reacting to problems. It's about, proactively preventing them.
Makes sense. So for those listeners struggling with a rat problem or, those who just want to be proactive, Simple Pest Management seems like a solid option.
Definitely. They have the expertise, the, commitment to safety, and that focus on prevention to really help achieve peace of mind when it comes to rodents.
Well, folks, there you have it. We've covered a lot of ground today. We delved into the world of rats in California, their habits, the risks, the signs of infestation, and various control methods. And of course, we highlighted the importance of prevention.
Yeah.
And the role that professionals like Simple Pest Management can play.
Right. And remember, knowledge is power. By understanding these creatures, we can be better equipped to protect our homes, our health, and our peace of mind.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So, if you've learned something new today or, just enjoyed our deep dive into the world of rats, don't forget to like and follow the show. And for those of you in California, dealing with rodent issues or wanting to be proactive, be sure to check out Simple Pest Management.
Yeah, they have the expertise and the dedication to help tackle those pesky critters and achieve a rodent-free environment.
And speaking of Simple Pest Management, you can find even more helpful tips and information on their social media. So give them a follow for the latest updates on keeping your home pest-free.
Great advice.
Now, before we wrap up this rat race, I have one final thought.
Okay.
We spent this whole deep dive focusing on the on the negative aspects of rats, but it's easy to forget that they're also a part of our ecosystem.
That's a great point. It's easy to demonize creatures we see as threats.
Right.
Right.
But they play a role in the food chain, serving as prey for owls, hawks, and other predators.
Exactly. They also, they act as scavengers, helping to break down organic matter and recycle nutrients.
So while we don't want them in our homes, we have to acknowledge their place in the natural world.
Right. It's about finding that that balance between protecting our spaces and respecting the environment.
Well said. I think that's the perfect note to end on. We've learned a lot today about the challenges and the importance of responsible pest management when it comes to rats in California.
It's been a pleasure sharing my insights.
And as always, it's been a delight having you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
So for all you rat-aware listeners out there, remember, knowledge is power. By understanding these creatures and taking preventative measures, we can coexist peacefully, even if it means keeping a respectful distance.
And if those pesky rodents do become a problem, professional help is available. Simple Pest Management is just a phone call away.
That's right, folks. Don't hesitate to reach out to the experts at Simple Pest Management for all your rodent control needs. They have the experience and the knowledge to help you tackle any infestation safely and effectively. And don't forget to like and follow the Deep Dive for more fascinating deep dives into the world around us.
Goodbye, everyone.
Until next time, stay curious and stay pest-free. We're back and wrapping up our deep dive into the worlds of California rats. It's been I'd say a fascinating journey. A little unsettling at times, but fascinating nonetheless.
Definitely fascinating.
Before we call it a day, I wanted to kind of circle back to something we touched on earlier, and that's the role of rats in the ecosystem. It's easy to kind of focus on the negative, right?
Right.
But they must have some purpose beyond just spreading diseases and chewing on our electrical wires.
They do.
So what's their redeeming quality? What do rats bring to the ecological table?
Well, they're incredibly efficient scavengers.
Okay.
Think of them as like nature's cleanup crew.
Yeah.
They break down organic matter and they recycle nutrients back into the ecosystem.
So they're like the composters of the animal kingdom.
In a way, yeah.
That's one way to look at it.
And their role in the food chain is also, very crucial. They serve as a primary food source for a lot of predators.
Okay.
Owls, hawks, snakes, even some larger mammals.
So they're keeping those populations in check.
Exactly. Without rats, the balance could be disrupted, and that could lead to, unforeseen consequences for the whole ecosystem.
That's a perspective I hadn't really considered before. It's easy to get caught up in this this us versus them mentality when it comes to pests. But they're just playing their part, right?
Exactly.
In the whole grand scheme of things.
In the grand scheme of things.
And while we certainly don't want them infesting our homes and posing health risks and all that, I think understanding their role can help us approach pest management with a more balanced perspective.
Yeah.
It's about coexistence.
It is.
It's not about eradication.
Right.
It's about finding ways to protect our homes and our health while respecting their place in the natural world.
Well said.
Well, I think that's a perfect note to end on.
I think so too.
We've learned so much today about the challenges and the importance of responsible pest management when it comes to those often misunderstood creatures, the rats of California.
It's been a pleasure, sharing my insights with you and our listeners.
And as always, it's been a delight having you on the show.
Thank you.
So for all our listeners out there, remember, knowledge is power. By understanding these creatures and taking preventative measures, we can coexist peacefully, even if it means keeping a respectful distance. And if those pesky rodents do become a problem, remember professional help is available. Simple Pest Management is just a phone call away. They have the experience and the expertise to help you tackle any infestation safely and effectively. And don't forget to like and follow the Deep Dive for more fascinating deep dives into the world around us.
Bye, everyone.
Until next time, stay curious and stay pest-free.